Here is part 2 of my part swapping customizations that I have done. This was the second figure that I did it on. This is the MP12 and MP12G Lambor Sideswipe. So you have the G1 version, which is the red, and then you have the G2 version, which is black. I was not a fan of a lot of the features of the G2 version, but I preferred black overall because black is my favorite color, and I just thought this particular car looked better like that. But things like the front bumper being bright red and parts of the rear being bright red, and then the look on the G2's face was obnoxious to me because you got this weird grimace thing that he's got going on. So I decided to make mine kind of a stealthier mix of the two. And this was a little bit more involved than my Blitzwing swap, but it was still more or less the same thing. And there has been some other modifications to it since then. As per usual, the end result is my figure that I have on display for my collection. The leftover figure went to my son, which is why it's got this gold Autobot symbol on it. This actually started from, I didn't like the Autobot symbol that came on this, so I tried removing it, which was a tampo, and I did get rid of it, but it got rid of a little too much of the red paint. And then my son wanted to put a gold one on there, so we just stuck a gold one on its place. But this figure, the original may have been official, probably not. It was probably a knockoff. The G2 is certainly a knockoff, and it was a huge floppy mess. So there were a lot of parts for the G2 that you barely moved it and it would just flop everywhere. This kind of worked out for me because that meant a lot of those pieces actually went over to the one that I didn't want. And I did notice at the time the G1, the white sections are a much cleaner, brighter white, whereas the G2 had this more of an off-white color to them. And then these are the parts that ended up not being so great mixed in with some of these others, which is why when I pick him up, well, of course he's not going to flop around now when I'm trying to point it out, but he's very loose in a lot of places, and there's no real friction to a lot of these parts, especially places like right here. And you know, it's very easy for him to just flop around, whereas the G1 originally was much more solid feeling and much tighter, so most of it stays in place. That arm doesn't want to, but you know, that's just because it wants to make me a liar. But this one was a lot harder to do in some areas, and I also did a little bit more extra to it as well. I put on the sticker set from the G1 onto this guy, and then I also painted his windows because I didn't like the red windows on it. So I'll go over a couple things. Things that I couldn't swap that I wanted to. I would have really liked to have had, where to put my pointer? Well, it's right there. I would have really liked to have been able to swap this part instead of having this bright red, but it was actually a part of this white plastic. They're fused together, so can be anything done about that. These inner parts of the wheels, I wanted to swap this out because I didn't want this bright red on here, and I have found out that there may still be a way to do that, but it's going to take some experimenting. But it's probably not going to be the case because these are those flat kinds of pins that are not meant to be removed, similar to like what you'll see in here on the back side of this wheel. There's nothing on the other side to push it out from. So yeah, it may be more trouble than it's worth to do that, and I may end up just leaving it the way it is just because it adds a little bit of another color to them rather than it just being nothing but black and white. I definitely liked the G1 head more, and it's been a bit, yeah, okay, this is also the G1, I guess you'd call that neck and upper torso section. whereas I couldn't get the head off without major issues as well. I think it was another one of those cases where it was a pin that just was not removable without me breaking plastic, but it worked out all right because I kind of like the silver on here, so it's not a real big deal. I did decide to keep the G2 weapons. I just thought they looked a little bit better. So this is my G1, G2 hybrid version of Sideswipe. And big thing, I did take off the two doors and the whole hood and windshield section, and I just spray painted it black from the inside. So you still got the normal gloss finish on the outside here, but instead of it being red transparent windows, they are black windows with just a little bit of a red tint if you get it in the light just right. I think it turned out much better. And then, of course, I put my own Autobot symbol on them. But yeah, that's basically it for Robot. Oh, the other thing I did do, now that I think about it, is I actually bought upgraded hands for him as well. So he has fully articulated fingers on this one, which are a bit of a pain transforming, and they're scary on, could be fragile, but I do like that I'm able to make him make poses and stuff if I want. So now I will transform them and show them in their car forms. And here they are in car mode. Oh, a legacy of the G2 being a floppy mess. The parts that got swapped over, no matter how well you line them up, they just do not sit together. So that was one of the blessings for me when I swapped over the parts, that went with this one that I didn't want anymore and not stayed with the one that I did want, because that is infuriating to me. Another reason I didn't really like the red was I don't know if the camera's going to show it very well, but the color differences between these red sections don't quite match up like they should. So, but this is the leftovers from my sons, which I think the red goes with the red pretty well, because it was originally black here, and then the section was all black. And those bright reds look terrible on this one to me, because this whole section would have been bright red, and this is all bright red. I'll show pictures in the video of the originals, but this looks much more natural to me overall, and I think it turned out really, really well. It's one of the better looking ones that sit on my shelf when they're all in their car modes.